Hi, I'm Cameron, and I don't just read comics, I love them, and welcome back to the Cameron Reads Comics podcast. On today's episode, I'm going to be talking about the new X-Men by Grant Morrison, Omnibus. So, here we go. New X-Men by Grant Morrison collects issues number 114 through 156. This was such a great read, and I recommend it for any new X-Men fan. And I'll even say, I can say that because it helped me understand the franchise of the X-Men. I started reading it because of the X-Men 97 show hype. I was like, I want to read more X-Men, and I just kind of want to understand them. And I like Grant Morrison a lot. I always felt disconnected, and like they exist outside of Marvel continuity. Red Wolverine, like major arcs by Mark Millar and Claremont, and some of the major hits, but like never like an ongoing X-Men run. I started with Hickman, and I just couldn't stay connected on a month-to-month basis. It's just been tough for me to follow them. But Grant Morrison went off in this story. Like, it was perfect. I voraciously read this omnibus, and like when I can blow through it that fast, that's how I know it's like really, really good. And I feel like I now understand the hype of the X-Men. Anyone can pick up the story and just read it. Some will say Grant Morrison is the greatest comic book writer of all time, and I think he's definitely up there. When Morrison hits, he really hits. All-Star Superman, JLA, Batman and Robin. But for me, the challenging part is he can always get very, very heady. Like, he can just explore these high concept ideas, and it's hard for someone like me to follow. And the X-Men are known for having very high concept ideas. And again, it's made it really tough for me to get into them as a fan. But I don't think that this omnibus has that problem, which is great. I want to touch on the new characters new characters that Morrison introduces in this run first. And these are now mainstays in this volume. Number one, Phantom X. Brand new character, still in the comics today. Part of the Weapon Plus program where Wolverine is from. He's kind of like a anti-hero, mercenary for hire kind of guy. Very cool. Not along the lines of Deadpool, but more along the lines of like secret agent, spy, X-Man. Cassandra Nova, first villain in this arc. One of the better new villains of this run. Also, as I was reading, as I just picked this up, the trailer for Wolverine and Deadpool and Wolverine came out, and I was like, oh wow, I am very familiar with Cassandra Nova. So it was very cool. I found out as I started reading, which is a fun surprise. I didn't want to spoil it when I wrote the review, but her way of being related to Charles Xavier and the reveal in that issue is amazing. One of the most cool and creative issues I've ever read that has now tried to be duplicated multiple times. New characters, Angel and Beak. Angel we have actually seen in X-Men First Class, and I didn't even realize that. Very different than her comic portrayal. And Beak, who is like a mutation with, he like looks like a skinny little chicken head. And I love him. They are two characters that get together and they're clumsy teens, like figuring out their bodies and their mutations together. It's just awesome. The cool lens that they get into is like sometimes your mutations are not glamorous, and where you exist in society also plays into, how your mutation is going to affect your lifestyle. What kind of mutant are you going to be based on like how society's treated you? And I know that those are themes that have been explored, obviously through characters like Magneto and like other mutants, but like I think Angel lends a more socioeconomic lens into mutation, which I thought was so fascinating, and like it really gripped me. Kid Omega, who is Quentin Quire. This, I just wrote a Clockwork Orange, but make it X-Men, which again is one of the best ideas I've ever heard. Like, okay, Magneto can have the blockbuster Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, but like, what if there's just like a street gang of mutants that kill humans? And it's so cool. Quentin Quire's still around. I know he's a part of the Hickman X-Men run, or actually he's a part of the brand new one with Ryan Stegman and Jed McKay, what they're up to. The last new characters who I thought were super important were the Stepford Cuckoos, who are like some triplets, I think, with psychic powers, very Emma Frost related, very cool. There are also some arcs in this story that I think need to be talked about that are very influential on what we're seeing. Number one, the relationship affair of Scott Summers and Emma Frost happens here. Emma's first diamond transformation, a secondary mutation idea, first happens here. Phantom X, like all those are their kind of like own separate arcs. And they just hit really, really, really well. I want to talk about the artist because Grant Morrison, great writer, but we also had like some all-star talent. Like this was a blockbuster title when it was coming out. First arc, Frank Quietly. My favorite Grant Morrison collaborator. I don't know if anyone else could have done the genocide at Genosha like he could have. It was giving Katsuhiro Otomo of Akira. And he did so many more issues of the series than I thought, because we can't get that guy on a series that isn't like We 3 or All-Star Superman, like maximum 12 issues at a time. But we had him for like a decent chunk of issues. And all the fill-in artists were also amazing. I feel like we just get variant covers, and now we got to do a couple arcs with him, which made me very, very happy. Everything he did in this series was perfect. And I feel like this is one of their very, very, very early pairings, which is good. Next up, Ethan Van Sciver. I like his art. Like Quietly, I don't see him on a lot of runs, and for personal reasons, I'm not really reading anything he's currently working on. But I'm glad to see that. Again, I feel like he's not an artist I see a lot of work from. You know, he's in the Jeff Johns Green Lantern run, but that's about as much as I see him. So to see him in something earlier in his career working with Grant Morrison was very cool. His art was really, really great. Phil Jimenez is an artist that I know and love, but I have not read enough of his artwork. You know, I've read Wonder Woman Historia, the issue that took him 5 years to do. I was glad to see his art in this book. And it matches all the others so seamlessly. And he was on the title for, I feel like, the longest of any of the other artists. But he picked up where Van Sciver and Quietly left off, and he just absolutely crushed it. It made the whole run feel so cohesive and so good. I loved what he did. And then Mark Silvestri picked it up at the very end. Some classic X-Men royalty. Great, great, great stuff. And now for the rating of this book, you know, it was amazing. It made me understand the X-Men. There's like a one or two arcs that kind of lost me, where I'm like, okay, wait, what's happening? Like, it did get a little heady for me. I'm like, I couldn't catch up. But overall, I give this book a 9.3 out of 10. I thought it was amazing. I think if you're an X-Men fan, it's a must read, especially for the modern books, because I know everyone's going to point you to Claremont for X-Men. And absolutely, look no further than Claremont. If you want to get it completely, go there. This is the book that did it for me. And I loved it. I'm never going to sell it. I'm always going to keep it in the collection. I'm so glad I have it. Just a great, innovative blockbuster run, which is what I want. You know, the X-Men deserve that. So really glad. And trust me, when I say it's a great jumping on point, because it worked for me. Have you read this book? Please clobber the like and subscribe buttons. Drop a comment. Tell me if you've read it, what you think. What's your favorite X-Men story arc? I'm Cameron. I don't just read comics. I love them. I'll see you next time.